know about this, but if you have been watching online, the people of Siena in Italy have been coming out onto their balconies and singing. And man, there's a lot of people out there that can sing. I know that there's another Italian town, and I can't think of it right now. Anyone? There's another Italian town that is they're kind of going back and forth. The other town has them hands down in terms of enthusiasm. But Siena is it does it in the most beautiful, and it's echoing between the buildings. So in this month, we've been talking about the divine feminine, which is our being side. It is the dark and the quiet part that we go into alone, and where we become receptive to a higher truth. Now, isn't that perfect? How perfect is that? You'd think there was only one mind or something. And this week we're talking about the law as womb, as the place where we gestate the new thought, the new way of being in the world. And this time is perfect for us. Do you realize how well prepared you are for such a time as this? That we can be the healing. That we can be the ones who come together in the name of love in order to decide exactly what we're going to gestate, exactly what we're going to fast from in this season of Lent, if you're doing that now, and what you're going to absolutely revel in terms of the good that still is. And so I invite you now to think about that. What is it you choose to create out of this time together? And out of this time together with your own soul, alone in your own home, being a little bit separate from other people and maybe even all the distractions we've been filling up our lives with. Coming home to ourselves, coming home to the Divine Mother within each and every one of us requires us to get quiet and separate. What a perfect time. I want to remind you that this is not the first time religious science or science of mind, which are two names for this philosophy, has stepped up during an academic? We're always academic. We love our classes. During an epidemic to be of service. Ernest Holmes and his brother Fenwick Holmes had what they used to call a sanitarium in Long Beach. So it was kind of like a small private hospital where they came together to learn not just like how to eat well and take care of their bodies and get some rest, but how to use these principles. And in 1918, they were open. And many, many people came to them for prayer, and many, many people called in on the phone, and they did not have one single failure to demonstrate. They did not have one single person who got sick anyway. And back then, people were just disappearing. They'd feel sick, go home from work, and never be heard from again. As a matter of fact, they had a nurse there, a trained nurse that was on staff, who Fenwick unfortunately says, we loaned our nurse Connie out. And I went, did you now? Okay, Fenwick, we're going to let that one slide. But there was a nurse named Connie, and up the road from the sanitarium was a military academy, and many, many of the boys had actually died. And so she went there in order to be of service. And once she got there, just by her beingness, her positivity, her uplifting consciousness, only one more boy died, and that was it. This stuff works. This stuff works, and there cannot be a run on prayer to the point where we run out of it. As a matter of fact, and I have been reading this to myself over and over this week, and it's a long quote, but I'm going to share the whole thing. Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook on page 282, writes, when things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves You don't have to prove this to anyone else. Prove it to you. To demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself or herself or themselves with complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. This is absolutely the best time to dig into your spiritual practice. This is absolutely the best time to slow it down and take a look at what you are choosing to create with your thoughts, which outpicture as behavior. I was reminded by another minister that as she sat in prayer this past week, she got a download that said virus stands for very important reminder to unify with spirit. Virus stands for very important reminder to unify with spirit. Now, when I say unify, I don't mean you're separate right now. If you're not purposely unifying, somehow you're not going to get one with God. You're already one with the divine. There's nothing you can do about that. That divine being lives within you, and its intelligence is in every single cell of every single body right now. So this virus that we're calling the coronavirus, which I found fascinating because the Latin root for corona is crown. Get up into your highest thoughts, people. The coronavirus is our perfect opportunity to use these principles. It even named itself well with the corona. You know, the halo that you see around saints in religious pictures, that you see around, you know, divine beings. That glow is what we're talking about as a corona right now. And each and every one of you have one. This is what you can do when you can't do anything else. Now, yes, I am having a wonderful time giggling about the toilet paper issues. I was at Costco and took a picture of the sign saying we're out of toilet paper. And I was picking up something entirely different. I wasn't concerned about that. And the pharmacist just looked at me and said, "Don't they realize what's going on? They're starting at the wrong end." Okay. I will say, however, it's a great metaphor. We're all going nuts trying to deal with our right now. And so whatever is coming up for you in dealing with your right now is coming up to be healed. There is no other reason for any of this to cross our radar. We are dealing with the stuff that I can't say on camera. And you know what, guys? Haven't we been wanting this sense of and this sense of separation to break and go into the next phase for a while now? This is it. When your body has a fever, that is the virus or the germ or whatever being fought off. This is our chance to just get the fever and get it over with and get it done. Now, granted, we also don't do what's called spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypass is, and many of you have heard me give this example before, is how you can tell a metaphysician in hell. I'm not here and it's not hot. I'm not here and it's not hot. I'm not here and it's not hot. And we don't have any toilet paper. We don't pretend like nothing is going on. The most spiritual, religious science thing you can do when someone is taking a swing at you is duck. And while you're down there, go to prayer. But we don't just pretend like nothing's happening. And so I want to invite you to take into your heart in compassion all of the people who right now are scared, who right now are not sure what's going to happen? You know, being in the divine feminine requires us to be in the question. The question is where all the juice is. It's not the answer. We go there too fast. The juice is in the question, but for many, many people, it's a scary place to be. And so there are things we can do. Yes, wash your hands. That's the obvious one. I learned this week that I've been doing it wrong. You're supposed to wet your hands, and then as you're playing with the soap, then the 20 seconds starts. If you're not sure how long 20 seconds is, I invite you to go to washyourlyrics.com. Washyourlyrics.com. Put in your favorite song. It will tell you how much of it you need to sing. Aren't people awesome? This was some British guy's or person's response to, okay, I guess everybody's sick and tired of happy birthday. It'll tell you what to sing. Here's the other thing. For the vast majority of us who carry this virus, we will never know. There will be no symptoms. Or if there's symptoms, they're just kind of like, well, maybe, I don't know. For the vast majority of us, we're going to see a huge rise in the number of people who test positive. Why? Because we're beginning to test. Hello? When you're not testing, you get a 0. So I expect the numbers to go up. You know what that means? It means we're responding and taking care of business. So yay when the numbers go up. The other thing you can definitely do is think about the people who are working and paid by the shift or by the hour. People who work for tips. People like artists who, like Jackson, I'm sure knows a lot of artists right now whose stuff is being canceled. That's why we're making a big push to send you over to Patreon. A lot of our artist friends have accounts there. For $10 each, you throw $10 in per month for whatever, the next 6 months, who knows? $60. It's a lot less, it's maybe 2 concert tickets the way we do things. And you can support those artists as they go along. If you are not part of an endangered population, if you're not medically fragile, if you have no concerns, go out to eat and way over tip. Way over tip. Servers are definitely some of the first people who are going to be affected by this. The coronavirus does not impress me. The fear virus is what we deal with. The fear virus is where the real danger is. We were once told we have nothing to fear but fear itself. And so, if you're part of a circle, make a phone call. You can't give hugs right now, not because I'm afraid I'll get the virus. I'm not giving hugs right now because I don't want to give it to anyone. I am very, very selfish with my cooties. But I don't want to be the person who gets someone I love sick. Yes? This is not about fear. This is about refusing to stick our heads in the sand. This is about taking care of each other. And so if you're part of a circle, if you know somebody who doesn't have access to the internet, call them. There's these things on your cell called a phone. I have talked to more of my friends this week by phone and had long, heartfelt conversations. Again, please get on Facebook. I know that it's not everybody's favorite thing. You don't have to friend anyone. You can practice social media distancing too. But if you get on Facebook, what I'm going to recommend is that then you go start Googling the other centers for spiritual living. Because we have so many people switching over to live feed this week for the first time, and they deserve a little encouragement. There's a lot of great speakers out there. Not better than me, I'm just saying. You can go to our website, go all the way down to the bottom, and there's a button that will take you to Facebook right where you wanted to go in the first place. And if you're feeling really, really generous, go to our YouTube page and subscribe. There's a really easy way to put a whole bunch of different stuff together through YouTube, but we can't do it until we have a certain number of subscribers. We're not eligible. So go subscribe, and then you know what? Go click on subscribe to all the other CSLs. Why not? It's fun. God forbid that you should get stuck, instead of cleaning out your DVR or Netflixing for the next 2 weeks, you end up in service listening to our best speakers over and over and over again until you are so filled up with Spirit that there's no space for anything else. This is what we do. We don't do spiritual bypass. We do decide to come together in prayer. And let me just tell you, on Friday morning, our brand new spiritual leader, who, thank God for Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen, for Reverend Dr. Sharon Hudson, and for everyone at home office. Right now, they should be getting a lot of emails sending them love because they pulled together more than 225 practitioners and ministers. That's how many sign-ons there were, but I could see there were many people with 2 and 3 people sitting in front of the camera. And all of us joined in prayer for you. Came together to pray and to do spiritual practice together. And that is something that's happening over and over now. If you go to New Vision CSL website, the one down in Phoenix, they're doing a meditation at 7 a.m. every day. Just go to their website and click on it. I haven't seen it on the website, but I know that there's also a 10 a.m. check-in that you can do online. Support those people that are choosing to stay home. When Jackson called me this morning and said, look, it's probably nothing, but yeah, and I come in contact with a lot of people, what do you think? I thanked him for being willing to go against his natural way of doing things, which is the show must go on, and being willing to stay home and interact with people online today. That is an act of grace and courage. For some people, it's really hard not to come here and get fed. But if you are not feeling well, I invite you to please stay home. I invite you to think about the people sitting around you and how much you would love to have them still there when it's time to come back. I would also ask you to think of the ministers who are out there having to figure out where that damn button is on their phone or their computer so they can figure out how to turn on the mic for that wonderful prayer they just did. And I'll share with you, Reverend Leslie Goodwin gave me permission to share with you that because she is immune compromised, because she has something going on that keeps her immune system down, she is choosing to be at home. She has self-quarantined. New Vision is still going to happen. CSL Prescott is still going to happen. Life has not been canceled. Walks have not been canceled. Phone calls to people you love do not need to be canceled. We need to do what we do best, which is find a different way of being in the world right now. Maybe go knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, I just wanted to check on you, see if you're okay, and let you know that if you need anything. I almost made a wisecrack about how much toilet paper I have. And an abundance of caution, I went and checked to make sure I had some. And maybe you should too. I realized I still have half a case, and I don't think I bought it since Kelly left in May. When you live alone, it's good. There are so many things we can be doing for each other. Reaching out by phone, checking in with people. I will ask, if anybody has their phone on them, can you check and see who is with us right now? Because we're going to go to prayer, and I really want to be able to pull them into that experience. While we're doing that, there is an insert in your bulletin and I have put instructions on our Facebook page. If you want to stay at home and still get your donation or tithe in, you can do it through text. You can do it through our website. You can use this thing called snail mail and put something into the mail. Anyone? I know that Nina was I feel like the romper room lady again. 14 people are with us online. 14 people, and I had asked people to just like write in and say something. I know Nina was there. I know Karen Rader was there. I know Jackson was there. I even hopped on for a minute beforehand to make sure it was all working and I could say good morning to them. If you're in there before the end of service, go ahead and say hi to your peers. I am not often the person who will say, go ahead and play on your phone in the middle of service. I trust that this will not be solitaire you're playing. During that, it's going to go back and forth. During that wonderful prayer experience that we did, Reverend Edward shared a prayer that I'm going to use to take us into our prayer. And this is one that's being passed around, but I ask you to take it into your heart now. So join me in consciousness from wherever you are. Whether you're online, whether you're watching this later on YouTube, having hit the subscribe button, whether you're physically here, just take this into your heart, please. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those who are most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools closed remember those who have no options. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those who have no place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for a quarantine at home remember those who have no home. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us find ways to be the loving embrace of God for our neighbors. And in this moment, what I know is that that loving embrace that is the divine being is fully present. It is being practiced through our very physical bodies in this moment right now. That thing we call God, the universe, love, power, peace, however we experience it, whatever name we use to identify it. In this very moment, in this very room, and on this very planet at this very now second. God is, and God is all that there is. There is no second power that is greater than the divine truth of love, which is the absolute truth between all souls. And as we come down into this divine womb in order to gestate and grow something brand new and beautiful and fresh, I know together we are in agreement that what we are growing is good. What we are growing is wholeness, which looks like physical health. What we are growing is a greater sense of solidarity across all lines of communication, across all times. Letting go of those beliefs in separation, because this virus proves nothing else but that we are actually all one. We are one family, we are one organism, we are one mind. And this one mind knows the good that we are. And so I celebrate it, I bless it, and I call forth the healing power of that love to touch everyone's life right here and now. And if you are in agreement with that, I ask you to say with me, and so it is.